Here in the Arctic, the temperature can freeze you to the bone and even your eyeballs. It's freezing cold, and if that's not enough, there's also a whole lot of dark. The Arctic is one of the harshest environments on Earth. During winter, temperatures can plummet to as low as -37°C, and at this latitude, the sun only shines for 3 hours a day. It's no wonder then that most animals have evolved to live somewhere else. But those species that have adapted to these extremes, from iconic predators to adorable mammals, have evolved amazing features to survive here. Here are 5 incredible Arctic animals. At the top of the food chain sits the polar bear. This large bear has developed a number of adaptations to thrive in the barren sea ice landscapes of the Arctic. Its thick fur and layer of blubber helps it to stay warm in sub-zero temperatures. But what's perhaps more surprising is that its paws are perfectly round. If you look at a polar bear's paw print in the snow, you will see that it's round, which means they walk right on the balls of their feet. And this adaptation allows them to keep as much of their body off the cold ground as possible. It's thought that over time, polar bears have evolved this feature because it allows them to conserve energy when walking on ice, making sure they don't slip and sliding more easily through the water. And these bears are perfectly equipped for swimming. Their large front paws act like paddles to steer them through the water, and they use their long, sharp claws to catch slippery prey. Speaking of prey, let's take a look at what the polar bear likes to eat. You'll often find polar bears chilling out on top of the ice waiting for a tasty treat to pass by. They're super patient, sometimes waiting for hours on end before diving into the freezing cold water to hunt for their favorite meal, seals. Now, polar bears aren't fussy eaters. They'll chow down on pretty much any kind of seal, bearded seals, ringed seals, spotted seals, you name it. However, they seem to have a particular fondness for beluga whales and walruses. But catching these speedy sea creatures can be quite the challenge. Seals can swim at speeds of up to 25 kilometers per hour, which is faster than most fish. So polar bears need to be quick on their feet. When a polar bear spots its dinner, it charges into the water. It uses its strong sense of smell to locate the seal and its massive paws to slap the water surface, creating a loud commotion. That startles the seal and gives the bear a better chance of a successful catch. Once a polar bear snags its prey, it drags the seal onto the ice to enjoy its well-earned meal. On average, a polar bear eats about 800 grams of meat per day, which provides them with around 1,600 calories. That's a lot of energy to keep them going as they rule the Arctic Circle. But what about smaller predators? Let's check out an Arctic fox. These little guys are perfectly adapted to survive in the harsh conditions of the Arctic. During the winter, Arctic foxes sport a beautiful white coat that keeps them warm and helps them blend in with the snowy surroundings. This camouflage is especially useful when they're out hunting. One of their favorite meals is lemmings. And during the winter, when the snow is piled high, it's easy for the Arctic fox to sneak up on its prey. But Arctic foxes are opportunistic feeders and will happily feast on a wide variety of prey, including fish, eggs, birds, and berries. To stay warm in freezing temperatures, Arctic foxes have evolved to have incredibly thick fur. Their bodies are compact, which reduces the amount of exposed skin, and they have small ears and tails to minimize heat loss. In fact, their bushy tails serve as a sort of blanket, wrapping around their bodies while they sleep to keep nice and toasty. Arctic foxes are true survivors. They use their sharp claws to dig dens in the snow where they can raise their pups in the safety of the frozen north. Now let us move away from the predator and focus on another Arctic creature that has to deal with frozen conditions. Say hello to the caribou. Now these guys are large mammals that hang out in herds that can number in the thousands. They've got a thick, woolly coat to keep warm, and their hooves are awesome. They're split into 2 toes so the caribou can spread their weight on the snow and ice, and the space between the toes acts as a snowshoe, helping them to stay upright and distribute their weight evenly. These large groups of caribou undertake some of the longest migrations on Earth. Every year, hundreds of thousands of caribou travel hundreds of kilometers across the barren landscape in search of food, And you might be wondering, why do they travel in such huge groups? Well, safety in numbers is one reason. There's power in unity when it comes to fending off predators. You know, like when a wolf attacks a lone caribou. Its chances of survival are higher than when the wolf takes on a caribou and a group. Not to mention, if there's not enough food for everyone, the caribou can share and help each other out. But let's be real, traveling in big groups isn't always smooth sailing. Fights can break out among the caribou, especially during mating season. Dominant males will lock horns with each other to assert their dominance and win the chance to reproduce. But fighting isn't the only way these guys compete. Caribou are known to engage in ritualized displays of aggression, like mock battles and aggressive vocalizations, to establish a pecking order and maintain social harmony within the herd. Honestly, it's like high school all over again, but with more antlers. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the skies, where another impressive Arctic animal reigns supreme. We're talking about the snowy owl. These majestic birds have striking yellow eyes that pierce the gloom of the Arctic winter, and their heart-shaped faces make them almost irresistible. Snowy owls are perfectly camouflaged against the snow, making them nearly invisible to potential predators and unsuspecting prey. Their feathers are incredibly soft to help them keep warm in frigid temperatures, and they're one of the few owls that actually prefer to hunt during the day. Snowy owls are on the lookout for lemmings, their preferred meal. They have exceptional eyesight, allowing them to spot these small mammals from great heights. Once a snowy owl spots a potential meal, it swoops down from above and uses its sharp talons to grab the lemming in midair. Finally, we must talk about one of the most iconic Arctic animals. It's the beluga whale, also known as the canaries of the sea due to their wide range of vocalizations. These whales are found in the Arctic Ocean and the waters surrounding Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and Russia. Belugas have paddle-shaped tails and small dorsal fins, which helps them navigate through icy waters with ease. Now you might be wondering how they stay warm in the freezing cold water. Well, beluga whales have a thick layer of blubber and a thick skin that insulates their bodies and prevents heat loss. Additionally, they have the ability to constrict the blood vessels in their skin, which reduces blood flow to the surface and minimizes heat loss. Beluga whales are highly social creatures and often travel in pods of up to 2,000 individuals. They communicate with each other using a variety of whistles, clicks, and pulses, which helps them to coordinate hunting, breeding, and migration. Beluga whales primarily feed on fish, squid, and shrimp, which they find using their echolocation abilities. They emit sound waves and then listen for the echoes to determine the location, size, and shape of objects in the water. Now this might sound fancy, but their echolocation skills are so precise that they can tell the difference between a shrimp and a stone just from its size and shape. And yes, you heard me right, beluga whales eat shrimp. And I know what you're thinking, whales usually go for krill, right? Well, not this guy. Beluga whales have been observed preying on fish and invertebrates at depths of up to 820 meters. This behavior is unusual for whales, which typically feed in shallower waters. And you won't believe the lengths they go to get their seafood fix. Beluga whales have been documented traveling upriver to feed on anadromous fish that migrate from salt water to fresh water to reproduce. For example, belugas have been known to follow salmon up rivers to feast on them as they spawn. They're like the ultimate foodies of the sea. Well, folks, that's a wrap on our journey through the Arctic Circle. From the mighty polar bear to the adorable Arctic fox, the stunning snowy owl, and the beluga whale, the Arctic is home to some truly incredible animals. These creatures have adapted to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. So next time you hear someone say that the Arctic is frozen and boring, be sure to set the record straight. It may be cold and dark there, but it's far from dull. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep learning. Thanks for watching.